Roftwood. I'm Zombie GG with the Roftwood Coordination Center, finally kicking off 2019 by proudly presenting you with another post-apocalyptic production I like to call an RCC Fireside Chat. This episode is part 1 of my discussion with the great and renowned Bob Moncrief. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the show. Hello, Bob Moncrief. Am I
Hello.
saying that correctly? Bob Moncrief?
I say Moncrief, like
Moncrief.
the accent on the first syllable, but
Bob Moncrief, welcome to the
Yeah.
Roftwood Coordination Center's Fireside Chat Special Edition Wiki Series.
hello, thank you for having me.
I think for a lot of people, you're kind of the first face when it comes to starting up the game again. You're a friendly face, you're an incredibly helpful person, and I've just grown to respect all the things that you do for the community. We don't really coordinate a whole lot or do a whole lot in game together. I don't even do a whole lot on the wiki. I'm trying to change that about myself, but I definitely respect the torch you carry and all that you do for the game. And I would just like to have this episode about you. So how about you just, I don't know, talk to me about how you got into Urban Dead and how you got into the wiki, and we'll take it from there.
Sure. So I started playing Urban Dead in 2011, and pretty shortly after I started playing, I got into the wiki. Originally, I got into it because there was a project going on at the time called Project Timeline. It was being run by a user named Vapor, and the idea was to try to create like a unified timeline of the events in the wiki, the events in the game, like all the big stuff that had happened from 2005 to 2011 at the time.
That is a tall task.
It definitely was, and it got mostly completed, but hasn't really been updated since. So we're not going to talk too much about that.
Okay.
But that drew me into the wiki, and so I started updating danger reports and all the sort of regular stuff that people get into.
This was
And-
2011?
This was 2011 going into 2012.
Okay.
So I started being very active. I updated a lot of danger reports. I also started getting involved in like other bits and pieces of like minor administrative kind of tasks, dealing with spam bots and that kind of thing. And so in the tail end of 2012, I got nominated as a sysop. And at the time, I declined the nomination because I was still in my senior year of college, and I was writing a thesis, and I was really busy, and so I really couldn't commit. But in 2013, then I got renominated, and I got accepted as a sysop, and so then I started doing a lot of the administrative tasks on the wiki.
I've never heard of these spam bots before. What is that about?
So spam bots you're very fortunate that you live in an era that is less intense with spam bots.
Less
So
intense. They're still prevalent today.
They still occur today, not nearly as much. But so they're like wiki users, quote unquote, that are not real. They're created to like boost Google rankings of links and such.
Whoa.
And so a lot of So there have been various points where there have been big floods of zillions of spam bots, and so
Whoa.
one of the responsibilities of sysops is to ban them, pretty much, delete their pages and ban them, which is like it's sort of the most menial task you can imagine, right? Of the various menial tasks that are involved in running the wiki.
What's a tactic to identify a spam bot versus are they
they're-
pretty blatant?
Yeah, once you know to recognize them, it's very easy to see what they are. They always only create their own user page. Their user page has nothing to do with Urban Dead in any way. It has a link to something. Normally it's a product.
Dude.
Often they're in very garbled English, right? And so you can tell real fast. They'll like create an account within 2 minutes, create their user page, and then not edit again, so you can just delete and block them.
a big point of why I'm making this Fireside Chat wiki series is to try to boost the popularity of the wiki. I feel like it used to be a lot more popular when I first started playing the game around like 2006. It was tons of activity going on, and these days the wiki stuff seems like it's kind of trickled down a little bit, and I'd like to add some logs in the fire. I don't mean to bring more spam bots to your plate, but
don't worry, the spam bots operate totally unrelated to the regular usage of the wiki, right? We've had big floods of them that don't have anything to do with the community or anything. They have to do with the wiki software, right? So at one point there was a big flood of them, and it's one of the few times when we, like, the SysOp team got in touch with Kavan and said, hey, please update the CAPTCHA system, like to detect if someone's a robot, because they're all created by bots, right? So he came on and updated the CAPTCHA system, and then the spam bots declined immediately, right?
So you personally reached out to the game's creator?
I have a couple of times, yeah. He responds to the elected representatives, so the sysops and the bureaucrats, when there's something really crisis happening, right? So he's responded when we've had a big flood of spam bots. At one point, the wiki effectively broke and wouldn't let anybody log in or make any edits. So we got in touch with him then, and he figured out that there was a problem with the software, because he's the only person who can access the back end of the wiki. It's never about in-game stuff. It's never about, like, oh, are you going to update the game? No, it's about, hey, things are broken. Please fix them.
That's pretty cool. I really would like, I think a lot of people would like to see Kevin be a little bit more outspoken in this game and stuff. We kind of like to talk about him as like this, like, god who's forsaken the city or something.
Right.
And it's nice to hear that he still reaches out to, like, the sysops on the wiki end.
Yeah.
What was the last thing he talked about? Was it like the 2015 survey for bringing the game to the mobile end or something like that?
So the survey wasn't. This was in 2015. So this actually happened for a period when I was on hiatus. I was off when the survey was actually happening. But the survey was just like a general, hey, tell me about, like, why you play this game, what you're interested in, what changes you're interested in. I don't think it was towards a specific, well, since nothing really happened from it, I assume it wasn't towards a specific thing, like it wasn't towards a mobile game or anything like that. But yeah, a lot of people got very excited around 2015 when that happened. There was a big uptick in people returning to the game, etc., because the survey happened and because it was like a sign from on high that, hey, maybe there'll be updates, maybe there'll be rebalances or something. And it didn't end up happening, which I think was a disappointment for a lot of people. But I definitely do think that our great creator, however you want to put it, is, like, he still pays attention, and he still knows that, like, people play his game and are passionate about it, and there's still thousands of players, right?
I think, you're definitely a big-time community leader guy. I've been working myself to try to capture a lot of the Urban Dead community. I think our ideals and our dreams for the game are kind of parallel, or at least, like, in line with each other. And I think that could be pretty inspirational for that guy to see folks like you, myself, and Stellar, and some of these other guys who really are putting our heart and our time into his game. Maybe that could, like, motivate him, make him come out of the shadows a little bit more. I don't know. It's but if I don't try, then I can pretty much guarantee that nothing's gonna happen. So taking steps, doing things like this, I think even if he doesn't come, we can at least help boost the community for the game that we all like for ourselves, and all the new people and the folks that keep logging in and dumping their AP. And
at the same time, I also recognize that, like, he created this game in 2005, and since then he's had a whole career and does other things with his life, and it's hard to make something like this the priority in your life when you're doing other things. But I do agree that I think it's important that those of us who are passionate about this game and about this community, that we do try to show that, not just for, like, saying, hey, Kavan, we care, but also just to show new people who find the game or people who are returning that, like, hey, yes, there is an active community. There are people who are really passionate about this game, right?
I'm so used to just calling him Kevin for anyone who listens.
Oh yeah, I don't know what the correct pronunciation is, by the way. I say Kavan because I'm used to Kevin being spelled with an I.
It's so interesting bringing audio like bringing all these players that were so used to interacting on the wiki or these discords and just text, and then like hearing the
Right.
voice that goes with them and hearing how different people pronounce the different like terms in the game.
That's been a really fun part of the move to Discord that a lot of groups have made. So I'm a member of the Scourge, and we started off not on Discord, we started on IRC. So moving to Discord and getting to like hear people's voices and hear the way people pronounce things, and also just like connect with people in that more audio kind of way has been a fascinating process.
I love it. And the players in this game that I've experienced so far, they just have so much to offer. And I don't know what it is about like what brings people to play this game and log in and dump the AP and stuff. I think it appeals to a certain type of person. I don't know if it's like personality traits or hobbies and interests or something, and everyone has all these different things they bring to the table. It's not like everyone just wants to shoot guns. It's not like everyone just wants to tear down barricades and eat people. There's folks that are all about the role playing, or folks like Maltel Fuelbot that just strictly enjoy keeping buildings powered and lit, and then so like not only the play styles but like their personalities that it's I've played a lot of video games in my time, and this is one that for some reason it's so simple, but it's at the same time has so much to offer.
Yeah. So I can say that for me, the wiki is a huge part of that. So I know that if I had just found the game and started playing and there wasn't this big cool wiki with thousands and thousands and thousands of pages of content going back years, right, and a whole structure, etc., then I would definitely not have been interested enough to stick around as long as I have. And the wiki and the wiki community has been a big part of what keeps me engaged in the game, in a way that the game itself, while it's fun, doesn't have the same depth to me.
Before this chat went live, we're talking a little bit about how I believe the wiki is at least 50% of Urban Dead. Like the Urban Dead wiki is like at least half of the game. The game, I log in, I do my stuff, but the wiki before Discord and forums is even where I've heard folks like from the Malton medical staff and the Knights Templar were originally like coordinating on group discussion pages on the wiki and things, or before they went to like private emails and forums, and now today's era with the Discord. But the wiki is like just so rich with like ancient history and so much lore that people have contributed. What was that tall task you were saying when that originally got you hooked, where you're trying to compile some?
Oh yeah, compiling the timeline of the game.
That's incredible, man. Out of your own free time and the goodness of your heart, you're like doing work on that Urban Dead wiki, and you laugh, man, but dude, a lot of people respect you.
So it's true, and I can talk about that a little. So when I got to be a sysop in 2013, and I got elected to be a bureaucrat in 2014. During 2014, also my real life got much more intense. I was traveling a bunch, which precluded me from logging in, and I was also founding a business. My real life was going in directions. And so I ended up taking a totally unplanned hiatus from Urban Dead in general, and also from the wiki, while I was a bureaucrat. So we can talk about this, because being a bureaucrat is an important role, because you're one of the people who decides who gets to be a sysop. You make decisions about things on the wiki. It's important. And I totally abandoned it, which I regret to this day. But there was nothing I could do because.
Wait, so what year your real life started taking off? So you had to kind of calm down your wiki stuff.
This was in 2014. So I had been involved in Urban Dead for 3 years. I'd graduated college. I was off in my real life, and things precluded me from continuing. And so I vanished, and there was this whole rumor that I was dead and stuff that happened.
The internet.
Yeah, and then so in 2015 I returned. I caught up on pretty much a year that I had missed, and I got right back into it. I jumped right back in with both feet.
Did you lose your rank? So bureaucrats are the top rank of the UD Wiki?
The bureaucrats are elected from the pool of sysops every 6 months. So, and they serve for 6-month terms. Yes.
Okay.
So every 6 months you get an election. And the two bureaucrats are the people who decide on whether new people who apply to be sysops get approved, and whether current sysops get retained or demoted if they don't pass reevaluation, or they request demotion, or drop off on activity level. So I was a bureaucrat, and I vanished, And so I all of a sudden was like failing the activity requirements because I was gone for a certain number of months. And they passed, this is one of my favorite things. So while I was gone, the Wiki community passed a policy which said that it reduced the requirements for being elected bureaucrat. So previously there were edit requirements. You had to be active at a certain level in order to be elected. But because the pool of people was so small, they
loosened the rules
reduced the requirement. Yeah, they loosened it. So this policy, which happened without my knowledge, was in part caused by my disappearance. And there's a quote from Ant DDR commenting on that policy said, "This is bad news because Bob literally could have been dead, but under this policy would still have been eligible for bureaucrat."
Wow.
Which I think is so. It says a lot about the way that the administration of the wiki runs. That it's very rules based and procedure based. And if people pass a policy that say dead people can run it, then dead people can run it. But yeah, so in 2015 I returned and got back into it, and I was reapproved as sysop pretty much right away, and I've been back into it as though it's in many ways a part-time job, right? But I'm passionate. I care about it.
Makes me double down in my belief that the wiki has a lot to offer the Urban Dead community, and it's literally built in the game and sistered to it, and I feel like I'm missing out a lot of potential, and I think a lot of other people are too. If we could just become a little bit more educated and understand the ways and understand what people like you do and why you do it. Like, why would you say we keep records?
Oh gosh. Well, so part of it is just that records accumulate, right? So things don't just get deleted off the wiki. If you add something, it'll probably be there effectively forever. And to me, it makes sense to have that be in as accessible and as organized a system as possible.
Oh,
right?
It's beautiful.
Well, so I have to give big credit to Icon, right, who's a former bureaucrat and former sysop, who has done way more than I ever have for getting things organized
For
and
how long?
looking accessible. He's been around in the community for significantly longer than I have.
So what is Akon?
So,
give me a little brief history of him. Just
oh
a
gosh,
quick
so he's
short.
been around longer than I have, so I don't know about his, don't want to talk about his origins, etc. I don't know enough about that. But when I arrived, he was I don't want to say the me of that point, but he was the person who knew all the procedures and was the person people would ask questions to of like, hey, I don't know where to find this, or I don't know how to do this, and he would have all the answers.
Just a super administrator.
Yeah, more like a helpful person. I think I want to emphasize the helpful part more than the power part of administration. Part of what he did was to do things like create the sysop archives system. So there's a system on the wiki called the sysop archives, which keeps track of everyone who's been nominated for or selected as a sysop, and all of the stuff pertaining to them as an administrator. So my sysop archives page, for example, shows the times I was nominated, the times I was promoted to sysop, the times I was elected bureaucrat, the times that there was misconduct cases against me, if I ever did anything wrong, and anytime I was demoted from bureaucrat or sysop. So all of that is tracked in one very clear, easy to locate system, which was not true when I showed up. It was a mess trying to figure out who was promoted when, how long has this person been here, which is important information for people who want to be informed in voting and in commenting, etc. So Icon really created this whole structure, and the team of us put in all the information. And it's not totally, completely done, but it's mostly there, and it's there enough that people can find all the information they're looking for if you just go to the sysop archives page.
Dude, I'm such an efficiency, organizational type person, and this stuff just makes my mouth water.
So in school, I studied classics and archaeology, and a lot of that is looking at tiny bits of piecemeal information and trying to put it together and figure out what was going on. And so a lot of the way that I think about record keeping on the wiki and in my life in general is so that later on, me or someone else who wants to find that information can do so readily and easily and not go through the sufferings of an archaeologist in the process, right? And I think the internet is a fascinating place because it's this new dimension and this new realm for information storage. And so sort of doing the archaeology of the internet and of internet communities is really fascinating to me.
Archaeology of the internet.
Yeah.
That is a wonderful phrase. That is like the essence of what I do here with these Roftwood
Yeah.
Coordination Center Fireside chats. I didn't even think about it
Absolutely.
really.
Yeah.
It's
It's
like I'm
cultural
trying.
studies, it's all this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah. Like you
Yeah.
generally it's a lot easier for me to do these kind of chats because I'm also super interested in history and culture and
Hmm.
my first series is with the Malton Medical staff, which is like when I first started playing the game in 2007, they were like a well-established group in the Roftwood area, Roftwood Edgecombe area. And then
Right.
like my second series was with the Knights Templar, who is also like a very well-established old school survivor group who have just been able to
Hmm.
pass the torch over all these years, and my hat's off to those folks. And then the Scourge, that series, you're a member of the Scourge. We'll just do a little in the
Yes.
game stuff. The Scourge are just my first welcome back to the game bad guys. And there's a little bit of the drama stuff. I misbehaved a little bit on the wiki. I don't know, when I first came back in 2017 after my break, I still had some of my I picked up this game in high school. I was like
Yeah.
back in 2007. Game came out in 2005, and so when I came back, I still kind of brought, as strange as that sounds, some of those personality traits with me. It's like, oh, this is the game, and this is how I used to play it, so this is how I'm going to try playing it again. With like things like getting super upset about the courtly truce, for example, or like back when I played, a lot of people just kind of honored and respected that thing, and then you guys are this new school group that just comes in and eats everything. And that's just a reality that I've had to grow to accept.
And this ties back into this idea of record keeping because, so when the Scourge was founded, our original goal was to ruin every building in Malton. It's sort of a ridiculous task because there's 6,000 buildings,
You
right?
ever heard of that game Katamari?
Yeah, it's that sort of idea.
You guys are just this big ball of zombies that just eat everything.
So part of that goal was to say, okay, we want to ruin every building, but we have to keep track of that because we can't just remember in our minds the 6,000 buildings, right?
Yeah.
So we've been record keeping since the Scourge was founded in 2015, 2016. We've been really intensely keeping records, and there's a whole section, like our wiki page, if you look at it.
Trophy case or whatever.
We have a trophy case. There's a whole index of every suburb in the city where we keep track of every building we ruin. It's towards the main goal of keeping track of, okay, we're trying to get it to ruin every building in Malton. But it's also towards the goal of keeping track of, oh, here's the things we've accomplished, and here's how others can see who we are based on what we've done, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's that same idea of, I guess archaeology is the right word for it, right? Of being able to say, here's information that you can see 5, 10, 100 years down the line and say, yes, these people did this thing and spent time on this thing. Right?
It's such like a great pyramid. It's like a world wonder, but it's like internet style for this like game
right.
that we all play and love.
Exactly.
It's so cool. I'm trying to do that with myself, my little zombie GG character. It's like I have my Scourge series in my journal on the wiki and stuff, and it's so
awesome,
fun
by the way.
Go back.
Those out there listening, if you have not read through the whole series, please do so. It's really entertaining.
Yeah, I don't know, I just express my emotions on there. That's really what I do with the wiki, is I put my emotions on there, and I learned with the courtly truce to temper my emotions a little bit, and it's like if I'm not having fun, then maybe I shouldn't be bringing those not fun emotions to other people's internet or whatever.
Right.
So I try to bring I took my feelings out on the wiki instead in a journal fan fiction series when the Scourge showed up, and just were eating everything in my place. Everyone knows I love Roftwood, and Roftwood's just getting eaten alive by these new school zombies that I don't know who they are and what they're about. I learned quick though, and so I just made I expressed my personal feelings through my character in my series, where it's like, if I was scared, if I was sad or something, and it's I think it's cool because it's a cool outlet for me, one, and then two, it's just cool for other people that, I don't know, I get compliments that they're enjoying it and stuff. And it just helps make this game great, and the wiki's like a total outlet for a lot of what you're saying, record keeping.
So much of what I do on the wiki and what the various other like administrative side people do on the wiki can often feel very like bureaucratic or like people there's a rhetoric on the wiki.
It
Well,
kind
there's
of
also
seemed
a
like a
rather
lot of work, and I didn't really understand like where the passion to do that work was coming from.
the work that the way I think of it a lot in terms of like the more bureaucratic side of what I do on the wiki is that I'm doing the equivalent of like cleaning the counters when you're cooking or like washing the dishes, right? The sort of maintenance tasks that you do so that someone can come in and like create a beautiful dish, or on the case of the wiki, can write amazing building descriptions or write a really interesting journal and record of an event that occurred, or
That's true. I forget
to
all those
express that
building
creativity,
descriptions
right?
are like written by a human, huh?
Yeah, pretty much everything on the wiki is written by a human,
Yeah.
which is
Everything on the wiki.
sort of mind-boggling because there's so much content, right? There's so much on there. You could spend a lifetime just reading stuff on the wiki, but to me it's important that we have the structure and we have the maintenance side of things so that people can continue to create cool stuff and
Yeah.
express creativity, like you said, and
This concludes part 1 of my discussion with the Bob Moncrief. Be sure to tune in to part 2 coming soon. This RCC Fireside Chat is a post-apocalyptic production proudly presented to you by the Roftwood Coordination Center. I'm Zombie GG in Roftwood. The pleasure's been mine.